Halloween really rocks on Toxic Radio. Come get your candy, bitches.
Trick or treat indeed.
While you're rocking with us at Toxic Radio, don't forget to check us out on social media.
I want details, and I want them right now.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Now you're talking, brother.
Chat with us, keep up on news. Just don't make it weird. Don't be a stalker. Don't be that guy.
You just want to suck the joy out of everything.
Toxic Radio. Get infected. It's Toxic Radio, and 'tis the season for frightening masks, demonic voices, and men in heavy face makeup.
I'll swallow your soul!
And you might even see some people trick-or-treating, too.
Swallow this.
At Toxic Radio, we do Halloween just a little bit harder. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic. Hey guys, dating life gone pretty shitty?
I find you so creepy I think you should have to walk around with a bell around your neck.
Finding yourself getting a little desperate for some female companionship?
Alexa, tell me you love me.
Hell no. You disgust me.
What you need is to upgrade your style right now. The Toxic Store's got exactly what you need. Pick up some stylish gear featuring Deviant Gamer, Toxic Radio, and the Heavy Metal Happy Hour.
Oh, yeah!
You can find the store through the Toxic Radio app or toxicradio.net. Get in the game.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Get yourself a little love.
That guy's getting boobies. Yeah, he is.
Toxic Radio and the Toxic Store. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic.
Welcome to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Gene Walzak, and this is show 52. Show Ray Lewis. Show almost 1 year. I mean, this is like a full year, like 52 weeks in a year. But next week will be our 1 year anniversary. We got a lot to get into today. To my right, I got the man, the myth, the legend, Scholastic Shally.
What's up?
To my left, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cottrell.
What's going on?
Listen, we got a lot to get into. NCAA is going to be a huge topic this week. I'm tired of seeing top 10 lists I don't agree with, so we created our own. We created our own top 10 list, and we're going to go over those guys for you guys. We got games to break down from last week. We got games to get into for this week. NFL, another huge week. Week 5 in the NFL season coming up. I mean, big games. Big games. Could be AFC Championship preview. Could be, I don't, a lot of playoff implications in a lot of these games. And then we're going to talk about MLB Playoffs. The Yankees' colossal failure last night. A huge payroll. Will Aaron Boone be back? Probably not. Then we got a big fight coming. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3. What do you guys think with that? And we got to do ticker. Check out the ticker. If you like the ticker, let us know. I like the ticker. Well, let's get rolling. We got a lot to get into. So we're going to talk about our rankings first. Now, before we pull up our rankings, I want you guys to tell me just a little snippet of what you think of the rankings weekly. We always bitch about them. I seen something that just drove me nuts. Shall, is there anything on this top 10 list that they put out that drives you nuts?
I mean, I just don't, not to start the shit right off the bat, but I mean, I don't understand how
Why not? Start shit.
Ohio State and Oregon have played head to head, and Oregon beat Ohio State, and Ohio State's ahead in the rankings.
In their house.
In their house. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. I just don't know how you justify that.
I know. I'm sure Cottrell loves the rankings, right?
They'll fix themselves throughout the year. I've been saying that week in and week out. Big Ten has a cluster of teams that are all somewhere anywhere from 3 to 15 that are either undefeated or one loss. So that'll all figure each other out the rest of the way. I am definitely going to be curious to see where Cincinnati ends up falling in this whole equation. It's interesting to see that they're at 5 right now. So you'd imagine that they don't take a loss the rest of the season. So how do you justify bumping them down? Because Iowa, Penn State, we'll get into later, but they're 3 and 4 and they play each other this week. So Very curious to see what the justifications are later down the road. Now, granted, I know none of this really matters right now because once the committee comes out with their official rankings, we'll see like where everybody really stands. But curious, based on what we see right now.
The promising thing about Cincinnati for me is that they have them ahead of Oklahoma, though. So, kind of to your point, if we get to the end of the year and Cincinnati runs a table and they win their championship game, I don't know how you're going to justify bumping Oklahoma over them. So, and like you said, I mean, either Penn State or Iowa are going to lose this week. I mean, so as of next week, Cincinnati should be 4 at the worst. So, very curious to see how that plays out down the stretch and how the big 5 pressure in that room is going to start to pressure those guys to vote to put Oklahoma above Cincinnati, because I know it's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of pressure within to not have them in the Final Four. So I hope they win out. I hope they go undefeated. If they win their conference championship, they sit there at 12-0. I mean, you'd have to come up with something crazy to move Oklahoma then.
I mean, the thing with that, though, is that we've seen in the past where, the rankings before the committee gets involved, like the AP's coaches polls, Cincinnati, even last year, we saw Cincinnati was a lot higher up than what, the college football playoff committee thought that they were at. So, I mean, it'll just be interesting to see where they gauge them, especially knowing what we know now. Before the season, everyone probably thought Indiana was going to be a top 3 team in the Big Ten, with them just not being as good as we imagined before the season. Even, Notre Dame, we all have been saying how overrated they were all year. And, who knows what happens down the road with Notre Dame. They know they're out of it. They have no shot of making the playoffs this year. So,
good.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, that is good.
Screw them.
But who knows how many more games they lose this year, and that just discredits Cincinnati's resume, although they've been playing great football this year.
I shouldn't discredit them.
No, I mean, the only good thing is they have that signature win this year, though. They have Notre Dame. They didn't have that last year.
Agree.
And that was one of the knocks on them last year. So, I mean, Oklahoma doesn't have that yet either. So, I mean, it's
they had a chance to get one this week.
I guess. I mean, if you want to count Texas as a signature win, I mean.
So I'm going to do something fun real quick. We have the orders. We all have our draft orders. Shally, I want you to pick heads or tails.
I'll go heads.
We got to flip a coin. It is tails. Cottrell, give us the order in which we are going to unveil our top 10s.
Bill, me, Gene.
Okay. So, Mike, can you load up Bill's top 10? And he will break it down. He'll go through it. He'll give you his reasoning. I think, is that all 10?
Yeah, they're all
okay,
there.
perfect. I'm just making sure. Sorry, the numbers aren't there. We're working on graphics. We're trying to get a little better at this. But you can see them on the board. Walk us through it, Bill. Walk us through it.
All right, so, this 10 spot comes down to 2 teams. I mean, the 2 best one-loss teams in the country are Oregon and Ohio State. I'm giving the nod to Oregon for what we already talked about earlier. They went to Ohio State, beat them. Other than that, I mean, I think the resumes are comparable. I think a lot of these teams are very close because I think a lot of these teams you don't have the strength of schedule really built into these yet because some of these teams haven't played anybody good yet. So it's tricky to tell, but, for that reason, Oregon owns the head-to-head. I don't know how you can ignore that. That is the best way to rate 2 teams if they played. So I would have Ohio State 11, but I have Oregon number 10. BYU have 9. They have played Utah and they have another good win. I can't remember.
They have 2 ranked wins.
What?
They beat Boise.
They have 2 ranked wins.
They have 2 ranked wins. They have another one. And Boise's not it. Is it Arizona State?
Yes.
Yes, they beat Arizona State.
So they're 9 for me. They're undefeated.
I picked that game, scumbags.
They're going to be they're going to be interesting. I mean, they're going to be the team. They might, it's going to be them and Coastal Carolina to probably battle it out to probably get the other spot in the New Year's 6. So that'll be an interesting.
Sidebar: did you watch the BYU Arizona State game?
Some of it.
That was the most undisciplined football game I've ever seen from Arizona State. Like, that game was Arizona State looked like the better football team. They just looked completely undisciplined. They had 17 penalties in that game. It was absolutely absurd. I think 5 or 6 personal fouls. Stupid. Sorry.
That's fine.
Derek Barnett plays for them. I don't know.
So that'll be a fun race to watch going down the stretch between them and Coastal Carolina. I mean, that's what I'm assuming it's going to come down to because I don't think Coastal's going to lose either. So one of them teams will probably get into one of the New Year's 6 Days Bowl, and one of them's not going to. So it'll be fun to watch. Number 8, I have Oklahoma State. It's a team in the Big 12 nobody's talking about. You got Iowa State with 2 losses already. They're out. Oklahoma's still undefeated. Obviously, they play Texas this week. But they've been tested a little bit already. They're not a bad football team. I don't know if they're the 8th best team in the country at the end of the year. Probably not, but as of right now, they are. I'll say the same thing for number 7 for Michigan. I don't know if they're the 7th best team in the country. I think you're going to find out a little bit more about them this week when they go to Nebraska. It's going to be a tough game, back-to-back road games. I was impressed the way they played last week. So I'm still not getting on that train and getting my hopes up, but they're better than I thought they were. I'll say that. So Oklahoma, leaders of the Big 12. Huge rivalry game this week, Red River Showdown. Texas, I think there's a decent chance they lose the game. And I don't know if that's saying more about Oklahoma or more about Texas, because I just don't think Oklahoma's played anywhere near the expectation we all expected them to at the beginning of the year. They have not looked good.
This is their opportunity to step up and play that way.
It is, and it's one of those rivalry games where crazy stuff happens all the time. Like they've had teams, you've had times where Oklahoma's been undefeated and Texas has 5 losses and Texas wins, vice versa. It's a legit rivalry game. So that'll be
the Red River rivalry.
Yeah, it'll be. And they play at a neutral site, so it'll be an interesting game to watch Saturday. It's early; it's 12 o'clock, so we'll see. I mean, it'd be a good win. It'd be a good win for them. But they're still not what I don't think anybody expected them to be. Spencer Rattler struggled. They do not look like a normal Lincoln Riley offense. So they're 6 for me.
Okay.
Number 5, Cincinnati. Team everybody, the little engine that could, a team everybody roots for. I have them 5. Like we just talked about before we started doing this, they have their signature win now. They went to Notre Dame and won. Rather convincingly. I mean,
they dominated that game.
Notre Dame was never winning that game. They were, I don't think Cincinnati was ever in any danger of losing the game. Their schedule's pretty easy for the rest of the way. I do think they're going to have to, I hate using the word style points. I hate that term, but I think they're gonna have to
run it up.
Yeah, they're gonna have to embrace it a little bit. They can't. The one thing I will give the coaches and the AP this year is you've seen teams, you see them getting penalized for squeaking by games. Like Clemson was 25 last week and won barely, and they voted them out. Cincinnati can't afford to get into a close game against a bad team. They can't do it. But I have Cincinnati 5. I think they're a sneaky team. Again, I don't think they're going to beat Alabama or Georgia, but I think they deserve to be there this year.
Okay. Game we're going to go over this week.
Yeah, so I'm not going to get into these too much because I know we're going to break it down soon. So Penn State I have 4, Iowa have 3. I think Iowa has a slightly better resume. Both teams have great defenses. I think Iowa's got a little bit of a more dynamic offense, but they're both really good teams. I think they're both. I mean, for me anyway, I think they're both a surprise of the Big Ten. I don't think anybody had Iowa 5-0 and dominating people. And I think Penn State's better than people thought. I know we always harp on James Franklin, and he will probably likely screw up a game for them somewhere.
He will.
It might be Saturday.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, but we'll see. Georgia I have 2. I mean, we've talked about Georgia. I love Georgia just as much, Georgia, as you've been from the beginning of the year. This is an all-time college defense right now, too. If you're a college football fan, watch them. They are on pace to break some crazy, old records. Their defense is ridiculous. How that's going to stack up against an offense like Alabama, I mean, I think we're going to see it. We're going to see it probably once, maybe twice. So it's going to be great.
Okay.
And then I have Alabama 1. They've been 1 all year. Every time I want to, after the Florida game, I thought they might have a letdown, or the team, they always seem like they might have a chink in the armor, and then they go play Ole Miss and just make Ole Miss look like garbage.
Yep.
Which I didn't think was going to happen. I thought that was going to be a closer game. I definitely thought Alabama was going to win, but I thought the Ole Miss game would be closer, and they made them look very, very normal.
Sidebar. Mike, just we need to get a little bit better spelling, Mike, on rankings. Come on, brother.
Rankins.
What are we? Rankins? Rankins?
So they call them down south. They're the Rankins.
Well, I guess most of the teams are from down south. That's fine. Mike, do me a favor. Throw up Cottrell's. See some odd things on this one, maybe.
If you want to call it that.
I think it's very odd.
I mean, that's fine.
I think it's very odd.
So I'm going to start all the way. Number 10, Michigan State. Just to give you guys kind of a intel about how I made my list. I did a lot of my thinking. I had a lot of tight spots between teams. I did my thinking based on who would win right now on a neutral field. So Michigan State is my number 10 of the Oklahoma States, BYUs of the world that are undefeated. I think Michigan State goes toe-to-toe with them, and I think they beat them. So Michigan State, I got my number 10. Number 9, I got Michigan. So Michigan was a spot that I kind of struggled with because obviously they could be as high as 7 right now. And if you want to have them 7 and bump down Oregon, Ohio State, that's completely fine. But even talking with Bill and Gene a few days ago, even Shally wasn't confident enough to officially put them at 7 at the time. I don't know if, obviously something's changed since then, but
yeah, we haven't lost.
No, from 2 days ago, you hadn't lost yet either. When I said that Michigan could be 7, you're like, yeah, I don't think we're 7. But anyway.
No, what he said, all right, just to be clear, I hate defending Shally. I really don't want to do this. But what he said was, I don't think we're the 7th best team in the country.
Yeah, but when I said that they could be
things.
7, you said, I don't think they're the 7th best team
So
in the
when
country.
I get into mine, I'll break that down a little bit more. So I'll shut up and let you finish yours.
Okay, so anywho, I mean, the cluster of 7, 8, 9, I think go a lot of ways. We're going to beat Michigan at the end of the year. So I got Ohio State ahead of Michigan right now. Ohio State at 8. I mean, I'm not going to have them ahead of Oregon. They beat them on their own territory in a game where they were missing their best defensive player. So I'm going to have Ohio State at 8. I said this earlier. They can play their way up into the college football playoff. They do what they're supposed to do. But right now, I got them at 8th.
Okay.
Number 7, I got Oregon. You want to talk about the loss against Stanford? It's completely fine. Stanford's not a bad football team. Stanford beat a good USC team earlier this year, and I understand, one loss, and you got some teams that are still undefeated. But like I said, I like to base my rankings on going on a neutral site and who wins the game. I think Oregon beats Oklahoma State. I think they beat BYU. They definitely beat Coastal Carolina. So I got Oregon at 7. My number 6, Fool's Gold, Oklahoma. We'll see what they're really made of this week. Not going to get too far into them just because we're going to talk about them at nausea later on. My 4 and 5, this was another one that was really tight. Once again,
bullshit, bro.
I don't care if you have Penn State at 4, that's completely fine. I got Penn State at 5. I think Cincinnati beats Penn State. I've made it no secrets about it. Sean Clifford stinks. I think Penn State has a great defense, but Sean Clifford's not winning them any big-time football games. So then that moves us up to Iowa. Clearly, you guys kind of see where I'm going to fall at later on about that game, but got Iowa at 3. Georgia at 2. Georgia could have easily been number 1, but until further notice, Bama has to be your number 1. I mean, they gave Ole Miss literally everything that they could handle. You'd have thought Matt Corral was going to go in there and light them up for a little bit, but wasn't the case. The score was closer than what it indicated, and Alabama won by 21. So that's all you need to know about that game there. So until further notice, Bama is the number 1 team in the country.
Okay, throw mine up. I got a lot of shit to say. I've stayed quiet. I've listened. I've tried to. All right, so undefeated matters to me, and we still have the wrong goddamn logo for Iowa. All right, but listen, undefeated matters to me. Okay, undefeated matters.
You changed it on mine and not yours.
Yeah. Listen. Let's make it very clear. Ohio State and Oregon both lost football games. If you take Ohio State and Oregon off each other's resumes, they don't have good resumes. These teams haven't lost football games. Michigan State won 2 ranked games. BYU won 2 ranked games. Oklahoma State won 2 ranked games. They're my 10, 9, and 8. That's just what it is. They're undefeated teams. They haven't lost. Do Ohio State and Oregon have a chance to move up these rankings? Of course they do. They're going to play Penn State. They're going to play Michigan. They might play Iowa. They have a chance to move up these rankings. But as of right now, all these teams are undefeated. They belong in the top 10. It's one thing I completely do not agree with college football is they put out rankings based off of what they think, based off not what they see. And nothing in my power has showed me C.J. Stroud is a good quarterback. We could talk about Sean Clifford stinks. C.J. Stroud stinks. Michigan State's my 10. BYU's my 9. Oklahoma State's my 8. Michigan has done nothing but play well. Every game, 3.5. Got to play Wisconsin, won the game. Got to play anywhere they've won. They're 5-0. I can't argue anything about them. McNamara's looked really good to me. I mean, obviously he's not, not JT Daniels, but McNamara's looked pretty good to me. So they're 7. Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler, I agree. They have not looked good this year, but they're 5-0. They won 2 ranked games already. Oklahoma's right now is my 6 seed. Cincinnati is my 5. Cincinnati is, they won at Notre Dame. They kicked their ass. They're my 5. Penn State's my 4. Penn State's only my 4 due to their resume, and they have a chance to move up past Iowa this week and beat Iowa. That's just what it is. Iowa's resume is better. They beat Iowa State. They beat help me out. They kicked Indiana's ass. Iowa's been dominant this year. They just beat the crap out of Maryland. And Tua's little brother, Talia Tongavoa. What did he throw, like 5 picks that game?
Throw a lot.
Iowa's my 3. Bama's my 2. And the best team in the country is Georgia. They just beat the number 8 team in the country, 38-0. It's no question to me. Georgia's the best team in the country right now. They have the best defense by far, by a long shot, over anybody, and their offense is moving the ball. And they did it with a backup quarterback. So Georgia's my 1. And listen, you guys can debate anything you want on this list, but the one thing you can't debate is undefeated matters. Your thoughts on each other's list?
I agree with yours more than I do Cottrell's.
I mean, you can say undefeated matters all you want to, but it only matters when certain teams play certain teams as opposed to when other teams that you don't like play certain teams. I mean, Michigan doesn't have a good win on their resume yet this year. Beating a 1-3 Wisconsin team. I mean, before the year, you'd think that's a big win, and that's not to bash Michigan because they play well. Like as much as I don't like them, they've played well, but that just doesn't get brought up when talking about Michigan.
Who they beat in Michigan? The Pac-12 team?
Washington.
Okay,
it's not good. And then when you talk about Penn State, since we're taking games off of resumes, if you take Auburn off of their resume, then that's another team. That's another schedule Auburn. That's not good. Oregon beat Ohio State.
Yeah, but they lost to Stanford.
I understand, but you said if you take them off of each other's schedules, then who have they played?
My point being is, what have you seen? What game were you like? They're a top 10 team.
It's not that a certain game that I said they're a top 10 team, but the fact they're so bad so far, and the worst game that they've put up points in was 28 points in the game.
Defense matters.
Okay, defense does matter. You're absolutely correct.
So what game?
But if you put up 28 points in a game that you look terrible in, imagine the games they look good in.
Yeah, but you look terrible against bad teams. Like, I mean, we're talking about resume. Take Oregon off. You guys haven't played anybody.
Nobody.
Okay, that's fair. That's
fine.
And
they played Oregon in their house without their best defensive player, and one could argue their best 2 defensive players.
Put up 28 points.
Yeah, in their house and lost to Oregon. Fine. Without their best players.
I'm understanding what you're saying.
It's like playing the Rams in like Seattle being like, we're playing the Rams in Seattle, and we have no Aaron Donald and we have no Jalen Ramsey.
That is not even close, not even in the same realm as what you're talking about.
Would you not compare Kayvon Thibodeau to
Aaron
Donald?
But the safety that they're missing is nowhere near Jalen Ramsey level.
That's fair, but they were missing 3 defensive stars. I'm just taking 2 and put them into 1.
I understand what you're saying, but the problem is that there's not consistency here. You want to talk about these ranked wins matter? I mean, if Ohio State, hypothetically, if Minnesota was ranked 25 right now, we're not going to say that's a good win.
Minnesota's not a good football team.
Before Ibrahim got hurt, they were a good football team.
Ibrahim got hurt. Hold on. He played one half of football.
He got hurt in your game.
I'm aware.
And they were beating you until he got hurt.
That's not true.
What?
Minnesota was never beating Ohio State in that game. They kept it close. They were never beating it.
Was it not? Oh, hold on. I got to double check that. I got to spot check that.
That's fine. They were never winning.
Ohio State was winning when he got hurt.
Literally winning the whole entire game.
I wouldn't say they were winning the whole game.
They were. At halftime, they weren't. At halftime, they were not.
I think the only thing with yours
they were winning the whole game.
I feel like yours are more of like you still have like a little bit of like a projection in yours. Whereas like I literally did mine where they sit right now.
No. It's not even necessarily projection, but so to put it in comparison, you talk about Oklahoma State. I think if Ohio State played if you want to say they've played C games all year, if they play a C game against Kansas State, they win. Like if you put the C games that Ohio State has played so far against these ranked wins that you have, outside of Arkansas, Georgia, those guys, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, those guys playing Ole Miss, Arkansas, that's a whole different ball game. But BYU beating Arizona State and Oklahoma State beating Kansas State, like I don't put too much stock in that, me personally.
I get it.
Compared to the teams that are still there.
I get it.
So did Ohio State score the first 2 touchdowns in the second half?
Yes.
So they were losing 14-10 at halftime.
That's correct.
And then they went up
correct
24-14.
Correct.
Okay.
And then Minnesota scored.
So
Ohio State got the ball back. They scored.
He got hurt late in the third quarter.
Okay. Because they were losing at halftime. I thought I thought they were either on a drive to take the lead when he got hurt.
Nope.
Or they were ahead.
Nope.
But maybe I'm nuts.
They were down 7 when Minnesota had the ball. They got hurt.
Drive to tie the game.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
That's not winning.
You said they were a good football team, so they got hurt.
Minnesota was 11-1 in 2019 when Ibrahim was fully healthy.
Okay, I wouldn't consider that a good win. Do you?
I mean, I don't consider.
Couldn't stop them.
That's true.
163 yards in 3 quarters.
I didn't say we could. I'm just saying if you
I don't know Ohio State's that good. I think
CJ
you're
Stroud
going off the goddamn name.
CJ Stroud stinks, and he's probably one of the league leaders in the country right now in passing yards.
Yeah, because he played Kent State.
Yeah, but he stinks, and you're putting him in the same basket as Sean Clifford, and that's just
Sean
dumb.
Clifford's not good. I'm not putting him in the same basket as Sean Clifford. But would you agree Penn State's defense is better than Ohio State's defense?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, so like if you're getting bad quarterback play from both teams,
but it's not even close to the same though.
What do you mean? What have you?
Sean
show
Clifford,
me a throw CJ Stroud has made this year that
Sean
made
Clifford,
you feel like he's
Sean
a good player.
Clifford is the same level as CJ Stroud. I got it. All right,
bro. What have you seen from him?
That's fine.
Outside being an Ohio State homer,
it's not about being an Ohio State homer. When you score 4 or 5 touchdowns a game, what do you want him to do?
Bro, 4 or 5 touchdowns versus Akron doesn't matter.
I think Gene's point is this. I think I think you would definitely agree, minus the 2 blown coverages in the Minnesota game. He looked awful in that game.
He threw a slant that went 70 yards. It was
he was
a
able to
9-yard pass that went 70 yards.
I'm not disagreeing with you. He didn't look good in Oregon, and he's put up bigger numbers against the other teams. I'm not saying C.J. Stroud's as bad as Sean Clifford because he's not, but
I'm not saying that either.
But you're making it seem like it's close. Of the quarterbacks in the Big Ten.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he hasn't been in a game against a big defense where he's looked good yet.
That's fair.
Okay.
I'd agree with that.
Okay, that's my point.
Akron, Tulsa,
20
hanging with them.
28 on Oregon. I mean, that's no small feat.
Without their best, I'm done. Let's preview this week's games. We'll find out sooner or later, right? They're going to play each other.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Clifford's going to throw 5 touchdowns against Iowa. So
they got another cakewalk this week. They're playing. What are you playing? Maryland this week.
Hey, we'll see you guys soon. So we'll see you guys. We'll give you a nice birthday.
What, you play Maryland this week?
We do.
I would just beat them 54-1.
What was that?
Is that game the week after that?
No, we have Illinois.
They got a little soften. They get to lose to Iowa, then they get to beat the brakes off Illinois, and then lose to us.
Bro, you are not going to want to come on this show.
Yes,
next
I will.
Week if they beat Iowa. Wait. If they beat Iowa, you're going to literally like, man, guys, I can't make it this week. I got a concert. Watch.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that.
So 2 weeks. So was that Halloween week?
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay, so let's get into our previews for this week. We got Arkansas at Ole Miss. We're going to start there. I'm going to refrain from this one a little bit much because it's one of my picks. So, Cottrell starts off, break down Arkansas Ole Miss for me. Arkansas, a team that just got their ass handed to them by Georgia. Ole Miss, a team that just got their ass handed to them by Bama. They get to play each other and try to clean up the chips. That's like a wasp in the room.
So, I like Ole Miss in this one. I feel like Arkansas, they really just
should have let it go, bro. Just keep going.
I feel like Arkansas really just kind of got deflated in that past game against Georgia. That's a game that can really just completely kill your morale. So I'm gonna go with Ole Miss in this one. I think Matt Corral and that Ole Miss team, they can rebound against Arkansas, and I got Ole Miss winning 31-17.
Okay.
Damn thing's staring at me.
Yeah, he's talking shit too.
He is.
There's like literally a wasp in the room with us, like a small fucking box room, and there's a wasp right there. Go ahead.
I'm just waiting to get stung. All right, so
You got a hoodie on, you'll be all right.
I'm fine. It'll sting me right in the face.
In the face.
I'm going with Ole Miss as well. I think the one thing that got exposed about Arkansas is how one-dimensional they are. I think Ole Miss will be able to slow that game down enough, get a couple stops, and I think their offense is going to get back on track. I can't see them looking that terrible 2 weeks in a row. Arkansas's defense is good. I mean, it's not Alabama's, though. It's not as physical. It's not as fast. I think they get back on track. I think they win something similar to what Cottrell said. I think like 34-20, something in there.
Okay. It's one of my picks, so I'm going to leave it alone. I think that the game I think this game's easy. I think it's very easy. I watched both teams play last week. One team stood out to me as a lot better than the other. So I think this game's easy. Let's get into a Red River rivalry. Oklahoma at Texas. Oklahoma is a 3-point favorite on the road at Texas. It's a big game. It's a huge game. It's Lincoln Riley, Spencer Rattler. They have all the opportunity in the world to show out this week and show that they belong in that playoff spot. So I think this is one of your picks. Do you want to talk about it?
I mean, I think this game is exactly what rivalry games are what should be like. You're gonna have teams just absolutely hate each other, and with it being that neutral site game, there is gonna be no real advantage. You're gonna have Oklahoma fans piling in, Texas fans piling in, but as far as the gameplay and how I see it breaking down, I will hold off on it, but I think this is a game that may surprise some people how it ends up.
Well, you just basically told everybody. I'm kidding. I told everybody my stuff. Yeah, give me your breakdown for Oklahoma at Texas.
Sounds like I think this game's playing out the same way Cottrell does. Listen, I think it's Oklahoma skated by too many times this year. I think they're finally going to play a team that is capable of putting points on the board. Defenses are great, but they have athletes on the defensive side of the ball. I think it's a great opportunity for Steve Sarkisian to kind of get a signature win and like really get that fan base and everybody back behind that school and that program. It'll be a great game to be on to recruit. I don't have any confidence in Oklahoma, and I'm not saying that as in I have all this confidence in Texas. Texas, to me, honestly, from what I've seen of them in Oklahoma, Texas looks like the more explosive team to me. They've settled on a quarterback. The offense seems in sync. I think, to Cottrell's point, I think it's a rivalry, and I mentioned it earlier at the opening of the show. This is definitely one of those rivalry games that doesn't go to script, like a lot of the time. Like you've had 3 or 4 lost teams come in and play the second or third ranked team on the other side of the field and win games. I mean, it's happened a lot. They love ruining each other's seasons. This would ruin Oklahoma. Like, make no bones about it. Like, Oklahoma loses this game, then they're done. So I am going Texas to win 37-34.
Okay, so Joseph Jeffers just posted something on the wire line. He said, will Spencer Rattler show up this week and show out? My answer will be yes. I'm on the other side of these two. I have Oklahoma winning this game, and I have them winning by 10 points. I think it's going to be it'll be close for a little while. I think Oklahoma's defense will leave Texas in the game as long as they possibly can. I think when it's all said and done, Oklahoma pulls away late, wins the game 41-31. Spencer Rattler has a very, very good game. Throws 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards, 1 pick, keeping Texas in the game. But I have Oklahoma winning this one. So, oh, Jesus.
What are the odds this wasp doesn't sting somebody by the end of the show?
0 to 100 real quick.
We have 57 minutes left.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. I'm pretty sure it's not a wasp, so I don't think you have to worry about getting stung. It just looks very weird.
Okay.
All right. Well, I hope he jumps on your face then.
I'm going so we got Penn State at Iowa next. Penn State at Iowa. You got to play Iowa. It's a night game. It's in Iowa. It's a very tough place to play.
Not a night game.
It's not a night game.
Penn State dodged that bullet somehow.
Yeah, it's a noon game.
No, it's not noon. It's 4.
4.
Fox decided to flex their muscles because they have the higher tier sponsorship or whatever you want to call it with the Big Ten. So they took this game, which is crazy because ESPN and ABC allotted their 7:30 game for the Big Ten. So since Fox took that game at 4, that's the only reason Michigan's playing at 7:30 against Nebraska, because they had the next choice.
And that is why game day is going to the Red River Rivalry instead of Iowa and Penn State.
Correct, because Fox
screwed everybody.
Sorry, listen to that.
Except Penn State.
Listen,
bro. That spread to me, bro. I'm not kidding with you.
It's a
Penn State spread.
It's a massive break for Penn State. Not that game is going to be a cupcake at 4 o'clock. It's still going to be sold out. It's going to be crazy. I don't know if you remember.
There's no stars in Iowa.
I want to say
it's literally like black sky.
I want to say it was like 3 years ago. They had the night game, and Penn State went in there undefeated. And Trace McSorley threw that touchdown in the back of the end zone like as time expired to win that game. We've gone in there at night and lost. I know you guys have. It is not fun to play there at night. So they dodged a bullet there. It's still a huge home field advantage. Don't get me wrong. But not playing at night that's a big deal. I agree with you. The spread opened to 3.5, and it's down. So I mean that is
and it's 63% bet on Iowa.
Yeah, so I mean
and it went down.
Yeah, so I mean it's kind of telling you it's kind of telling you where people are going. Listen. This has the making. This could be a 10-6 game, and I'm not kidding. So, I mean, you have 2 elite defenses. I do think Iowa has the better variety and is a little bit more of a dynamic offense. They can throw the ball a little easier. Penn State does have Doxson, obviously. I mean, he might be the best wide receiver in the country. But other than that, they struggle. They struggle to move the ball. They don't run the ball especially well, and they don't. Outside of Doxson's big plays, they don't throw the ball with fluid either.
I agree.
Their defense is good, though, man. I mean, it's good. It's good and it's fast. So is Iowa's. Again, this could easily be, I'm not kidding you when I say 10-7, 13-10. It has that type of feel. It is going to be a slugfest type of game. It's going to be an old school Big Ten, just line them up and hit.
So I make no bones about it. I'm rooting for Penn State. Penn
Right.
State is, my fair weather team that I root for.
Mm.
I've not seen anything from Penn State to say they should be within 1.5 of Iowa. I cannot understand it. Iowa has blown out Maryland. Iowa has blown out Indiana. Iowa's not blown out, but beat Iowa State pretty good. They have some quality wins on their resume. What am I missing? Penn State is beat Auburn and then Little Sisters of the Poor. I don't know how it's only 1.5. And then 63% of the bets are on Iowa, and the spread's going towards Penn State. I'm going to hang my hat on that. Penn State.
Are you picking this game?
No. Penn State 13, Iowa 12.
I mean, I got Iowa 20, Penn State 13.
So I think that a lot of a lot of the idea is that although we keep harping on the fact that Sean Clifford stinks, Iowa's offense really isn't great. They do well with short field position when their defense causes turnovers. Their quarterback doesn't turn the ball over, but Iowa doesn't have this great offense. They have a pretty good rushing attack. Their quarterback he's capable of getting the job done, but they don't have this explosive, dynamic offense. So I think a lot of the confidence comes in, not confidence, a lot of where the game is going to be decided from is which quarterback makes that crucial turnover. And people are probably leaning towards Clifford being that guy to make the turnover. So I feel like that's why the spread is so close, just because it is going to be a defensive game. And I definitely like the under in this one. I didn't pick it this week, but I definitely think that, the under is very alive and well in that game. I'm going to go with it being Iowa 17, Penn State 6.
Chris Cargan loves the under. He said throw a stack on it.
What
He
is
has
the over under that?
1916. I think it's 41.
Yeah, see, I just don't think
1916 Penn State fumble recovery as Iowa's driving down the field to steal the game.
That's a 21-20 game. I just don't see that.
I don't see it either. Unless you get 2 defensive scores somewhere.
Or a special team.
We gotta get her pick 'em.
Yeah, you almost need like a pick 6 or like a special team score. I mean, I just really feel like both. If anything's going to show up in that game, it's going to be both their defenses. I don't see either one of those units playing badly.
I agree. Let's get into our pick 'em this week. All right, so you picked the order for the rankings. Shall I give me the order for pick 'em?
You could trail me.
I'll go first. No problem. Hit my Navy Superdog last week, plus 16.5. They won the game outright. All right. So my first game, I have Ole Miss. Ole Miss minus 5.5. I think they're a lot better team than Arkansas. I think Arkansas is as big at fool's gold as you can say they were. They got their ass handed to them by a backup quarterback in Georgia last week. I think Matt Corral came on strong, figured out kind of like was moving the ball really well second half of that game versus Bama. I get it. Bama let off the gas a little bit, but he battled. He battled. Didn't turn the ball over and battled in that game.
Kid's got heart.
Yeah, he does. I got Ole Miss minus 5.5. I think I think it's easy. I don't know why, but
I think I was going to pick that game actually. I think the only thing that concerns me about that game is game flow. If Arkansas can move the ball and just get 3-4 yards of carry and like go methodically down the field, it's the only thing that worries me about that game.
Fair. Next game, this game's near and dear to Buddy's heart. Near and dear to Buddy's heart. I got the Vols. They're minus 10.5 at home versus South Carolina. I think the Vols win that game, and I think they win it easily. I don't think South Carolina's that good. I watched South Carolina struggle earlier. Shally pulled out that win on the field goal when they were down 17-0. I think the Tennessee Vols lost one game this year, and it was a game that they were dominating in and ended up blowing. So I will take the Vols minus 10.5.
Starting a backup quarterback in that game, though.
I know.
Okay.
And then for my super dog, talk about places that are tough to go play. College Station's one of those places. I'm taking Texas A&M plus 17.5 at home versus Alabama. I think that your boy, your favorite head coach of all time, will have them boys ready.
He sucks.
I think that defense has played well all season. I like A&M to keep that game very close. I don't think they're going to win it. But if I gave you a prediction, I would tell you it'd be like 30-27.
I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just an eye test thing for me. Like, I look at, like, I don't think you would argue that Ole Miss's offense is way better than Texas A&M's.
Yes.
And the way they just got dominated. I just don't.
Bama, bro.
I get it, but I just don't. A&M has literally struggled to do anything offensively this year.
You're right.
But, yeah, I mean, it is a rivalry game. You're right. I mean, I have no faith in Jimbo Fisher because he stinks. So, but weirder things have happened. So you're 100% right on that one.
We'll be singing Rocky Top after Tennessee wins. Joseph Jeffers, baby. Good old Rocky Top. All right, so go ahead, Control.
All right, so before I give my three official picks, I got 2 games that I do like. Not officially on the record or anything like that, but Virginia Tech's a half-point favorite at home against Notre Dame. I think they win that game. And then Shally's boys are 3.5-point favorites at Nebraska. Nebraska's not that good of a football team. Scott Frost he's going to be fired at the end of this year. I think they blow that spread out the water. But my 3 official picks for the week,
I like reverse jinx. He just put on that team.
I like Texas plus 3.5 at home versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma's been literally begging a team to beat them, and I think Texas is going to be that team. Steve Sarkisian is going to have those guys ready to play, and outside of that big blowout loss at Arkansas, Texas has been playing good football this year. So I think against the Oklahoma team that's struggling to really have a true identity and Spencer Rattler struggling, I think Texas is going to win that game at home and put it in the Oklahoma's hopes for making the college football playoff. I also like Michigan State minus 5.5 at Rutgers. We saw it last week with Ohio State. I think Rutgers was another case of fool's gold, obviously not to the same extent as some of these other teams, but Rutgers was quietly having a good year, and they hadn't really played anybody. Once they played a decent school, they showed you what they truly are. I think Michigan State and that offense with Kenneth Walker is just going to run right through them, and they're going to beat them by at least 10 points in that game. And then my super dog for the week, I like Middle Tennessee State at Liberty plus 19.5. Chase Cunningham is their quarterback over there, and I think he's a pretty solid dual threat. He's going to keep him in the game, kind of manage the clock and everything. I don't think there's going to be enough time for Liberty to get up to 20-point win in that game.
Hey, you love going against my boy Malik Wills, bro.
Hey, 1-0 against him so far.
That is true.
Two things I need to comment on.
Are you on both games? What are you doing?
No.
All right.
I already get my games.
No, I'm talking about what he just picked.
No, so two things I want to comment on. One is we say Scott Frost's name on this show way too much. Like, he's not good enough to have his name said on our show that much.
Agreed.
And the second thing
We're
is
picking against them.
The Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders have gotten some serious love. They've been picked 3 times on our pickup segment.
If you look at their losses this season, it was like they had one like big blowout loss, but like they had and I was against Virginia Tech. But outside of that, they have tight games all year long.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah. I didn't take Texas. I mean I picked them officially, like for our picks. I wanted to pick them. I'm with you on that pick. Michigan State. I'm telling you that game's going to be iffy. It's going to be tight. I'm not saying Michigan State's not going to win. At Rutgers is different. I mean they played even with us in the second half when they went to Michigan. So I mean that'll be a tight game. I already talked about the one. I'm taking Iowa minus 1.5 versus Penn State. I am taking Georgia minus 16.5 versus Auburn. Unless they have some kind of crazy meltdown, that defense is just. I mean, they've almost. I think they 2 shutouts already. Another team scored 3.
Yep. Auburn
has struggled to move the ball. Really, other than the Penn State game, Bo Nix got benched the following week after the Penn State game. They have a couple injuries. They're banged up. I think that game's close, maybe early. Then I think Georgia pulls away and just shuts Auburn down. So I'm going Georgia. I loved it at minus 14.5, but now it's 16.5. But I still like it there. My super dog, I'm taking Florida State plus 17.5 over UNC. I think Florida State eventually will put a game together. I don't know if they win. I think they keep it close. UNC's defense isn't great. And their offense, I mean, they're beating up on little schools now. So I think that game has a chance to be closer than that. I don't think Florida State has any shot to win the game. But I do think they'll cover that. So those are my 3 for the week.
And that's our NCAA pick'em segment. We have to get into NFL, guys. We've been
do it.
rolling a lot for NCAA. Let's get into NFL. Let's recap a couple games that happened this past week. Just for shits and giggles. What was your favorite game this past week? Outside the Browns, dork. Just kidding.
Favorite game. Probably would go Bucks Pats. Hey Jamie, what's up? Probably would go Bucks Pats.
That was listen, guys, I nailed that game.
Jamie wants some FaceTime.
Jamie's on it on the face. Look at that's the producer, Jamie.
It happens.
Bucks Pats was great. What did you think of Bucks Pats?
It was a good game. I mean, it was. I think. I mean, the only thing that, and again, you can't control it. I mean, both teams playing it. I just wish it wasn't raining in that game. I think Tom. One of the few times I've ever seen like nerves get to him. I mean, he missed throws. I think some of it you could say was weather. I think some of it was a little amped up, a little emotional in the game.
I think some of it was the New England Patriots disguising their defense.
It was, but he
missed some throws that were
just wide open throws. And I think Mac played real well. I think Mac had a really good game. I mean, to your point, I think Bill threw everything in the kitchen sink at Tom, and I think a lot of it worked. I think he left some throws on the field. I thought it was a good game. I wish it had been a little bit more exciting. I think for as much hoopla was made out of it. I mean, they talked about it from Wednesday on, like nonstop. Like all the shows went there. Like everybody broadcasted live from there. So for all that to have a 19-17 game was kind of a little bit.
I thought it was a great football game.
It's a good football game.
And the thing about that game that drives me nuts is the 4th and 3. I don't kick that 56-yard field goal. I mean, I guess hindsight's 20/20.
Honestly, in the moment though, I don't kick that field goal.
No, I said that. I'm like, this is too far. They got to go for it here. You can't get 4 yards. You can't win the game.
It'd be different if you still have Vinatieri in your back pocket, prime Vinatieri in your back pocket.
Yeah, So, like, all right, let me ask you a question. He hits that field goal with 48 seconds left. You still not think that Brady doesn't bring them down and kick a field goal?
Everything in your power tells you that he's going to do what he's always done.
I think that's my problem with the decision. I think best case, if you make that field goal, you're giving him the ball back with a minute and don't think he's going down the field. Like,
Correct.
That's your best bet there is to get the first down, get another 10 yards.
the game-winning field goal.
Take it down to a couple seconds and kick the field goal.
Correct. And if you miss, you miss.
Yeah. So that's a little bit weird for me, especially coming from a coach like him. So
I don't know. I felt like he got cold feet. He called the perfect game and got cold feet at the end.
Yeah.
I feel like I just need to slot this in there. I'm seeing a lot of Mac Jones so far has been the best rookie quarterback so far. Like that, I don't think there's much debate there. But the one thing that gives me a little bit of cause to pause is that he's made a lot of the right throws, but in reality, Mac Jones has been dinking and dunking the ball. Like, of course, he hits some intermediate throws, but a lot of it has just been dinking and dunking, and he's just made smart football plays. Granted, that's what I want on my rookie quarterback, but to say that he's just been playing lights out or like amazing is just
who said he's played out?
Too much.
Who said that though?
To be fair, that was 100% what Brady did his first few years.
Yeah, but we weren't talking about Brady as the GOAT as a rookie.
I get it. I just I gotta give him credit, man. He's played.
Yeah, but that wasn't 16. Like you weren't giving Brady Rookie of the Year now. I mean, he came in on short term and did what he had to do.
He still won 8 or 9 games in the year that won the Super Bowl.
You guys forget that year?
What are you talking about? He got hurt in the playoffs.
No. Drew Bledsoe got hurt week 3.
Yeah.
Drew Bledsoe got hurt week 3.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Tom Brady played 13 and a half games that season.
Then they faced the Rams in the Super Bowl?
Yep.
Yeah.
13 and a half games he played that season. And I think they went 14-2.
But listen, something like that.
But regardless.
Beginning and again, that is to his strengths. He's not a guy that's going to drop back and throw a 50-yard bomb. Like, that's not what he is. He fits perfectly, to Gene's point, to the way Josh McDaniels calls that game. Same thing with Tom. The difference with Tom is Tom will go deep once in a while, but Tom is a short to intermediate guy. But he made the right decision every time and was accurate, and you just couldn't get him off the field.
No, it's not a knock on Mac.
I don't think anybody's saying he's played lights out or great. I just think he's definitely been head and shoulders above the other 4.
But a lot of that is just because of, like, I mean, Zach Wilson's clearly made just boneheaded decisions, and I think.
But just watching all 5 of them play, I still think he's the 4th out of 5th quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think
he's 4th out of 5.
You would clearly say, like, you know, if you look at the numbers, of course, you know, he's having a better year than Trevor Lawrence. But if you've actually watched Trevor Lawrence play, you're like, Trevor Lawrence has miles to talent more than Mac Jones.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I think we all agreed about
that.
And
I know we kind of understand that
I just
to the where they were picked in the draft.
If I'm projecting their careers, I think that's the same as my projections before week 1. I still think it's Trevor, Justin, Trey, Mac, and then Zach's terrible.
I mean, we'll see about Trey very shortly.
Trey will be fine.
I think Trey's going to start Sunday, so
yeah.
I just don't think Jimmy's going to be ready. So
that's what I'm saying. We'll see very shortly.
So, second question, NFL, before we get into our preview. Is Arizona the best team in football?
I mean, to your logic that losses matter, I mean, you have to. And I'm not saying I don't disagree with it. I'm saying
I think they're number 1 in the power rankings.
We've had this conversation like 3 times already. If you have power rankings right now, they have to be number 1. They have to be. Am I projecting 8 weeks from now they're the best team in football? Probably not. But right now, I mean, I don't know. I mean, who's playing better than Kyler Murray right now?
Who's coaching better than Cliff Kingsbury right now?
Also, fair point.
Troll, bro.
It's not a troll, dude.
Who's coaching better than Cliff Kingsbury?
You can't tell me. Come on, man. Like, you can't say that everything that's happening on that field right now is Kyler Murray.
No, absolutely.
Everything about that offense looks different. Everything.
Cliff has coached a lot better this year than he has in previous years.
Okay.
So instead of being 27th in the league, he might be 15th.
Oh, man.
But to say that he's like coaching great football is beyond me. So let's just go through their schedule real quick. All right.
But then
they should have lost to Minnesota. They missed a field goal.
Here we go with should have lost. So first, undefeated matters. Now we're talking about should have lost.
Could have, would have lost.
Did you guys watch that game?
I don't care about that. We literally we talked about 6 undefeated teams who have no business being in the top 10.
The NFL and the NCAA are two different animals.
We didn't say anything about shoulda couldas in the NCAA
playoffs
with undefeated
playoffs
teams.
In the NFL, it's not. It's set up the way it is.
Harder to win a game in the NFL than
We're talking about right now, not college, not playoffs.
Yeah, okay. I don't think he's the. He's definitely not the best coach in the league.
Nobody said that.
He said he's coaching really well. He's all right.
He said
I think he coached a terrible game in Jacksonville. A terrible game in Jacksonville, and most Cardinals fans will agree with me.
Kyler also had a terrible goddamn pick in that game too.
He did.
And we've actually had the discussion about the other game that if they didn't win, there would have been a bigger magnifying glass on Murray. They won that game, so everybody let him skate.
I agree with you.
All right, so you're saying so.
But we're not going to talk Cliff Kingsbury being a top 5.
But we're not. But we can't. But if that's the case, though, we can't talk about Kyler being a top anything quarterback.
His only statement was that he's coaching better. He didn't say he was top 3. He didn't say anything like that. And you went troll and got your bag, and you're like, wow.
You said Kyler's been playing out of his mind. He said Cliff's been coaching out of his mind.
He's definitely coaching better. All right,
it's 5-0 football team. He's the head honcho there.
All right, so
it's just like the quarterback position, man.
Two-way street, baby.
Yep, you can't.
You guys marry these two players, and I don't think they're married. You marry Kyler Murray to Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think they're married.
Because you put them like the Grand Canyon apart. Like Cliff Kingsbury could throw the.
I said Cliff's coach better this year.
Could call it. That's all he said.
He said coaching out of his mind.
Well, you said 27 to 15.
If 27 to 15 is coaching out of his mind, that's 12 spots.
It's a big spot, big jump.
Cliff Kingsbury could call a perfect play, and Kyler Murray could throw the ball in the stands, and you'll blame it on Cliff Kingsbury.
No.
Yeah.
It's
man.
a lie.
It's not.
All right, so speaking of teams that are way ahead of where they were projected to be at, we'll start with Bengals, who are 3-1, who are hosting the Green Bay Packers. What do you guys think about this game?
I think this game is ripe for an upset. I think Jair Alexander being out matters. Cincinnati's, I mean, they're playing well. I mean, I don't know. They don't have like a feather in the cap of Green Bay yet, but at home, I think it's a really close game. I really do. I think Cincinnati's there in the end. They might even have a chance to win the game at the end. I think that offense is going to move the ball against Green Bay. I really do. I think Joey B is going to have a good game. I think Aaron Rodgers will have a very good game against that defense. The only thing worries me, I don't think Joe Mixon's going to play. And if he does, he's not going to be anywhere near what he should be. He's actually having a good year. So I think that hurts a little bit.
A lot of it.
But I'm excited to watch that game.
That's why we're talking about it. What do you think about the game?
I feel like I might be just hating on them because they're in our division, but I truly think that the Bengals are probably the worst 3-1 football team in the NFL right now. That's not to say that they're the worst.
Watch Carolina.
That's good, dude.
That's not to say that they're a bad football team. I just think of the teams that are 3-1, they're the worst ones of the bunch.
Denver
I like Denver.
Three teams that have one win.
I'm with Shally. I like.
Game was way closer than that score.
I like Denver.
What are you talking about?
The Ravens game.
That was not a close game. It was 23-7.
It was 27-7, I think, actually.
23-7.
But
that game was not close.
Anywho, just getting back on track with the Bengals. Joe Mixon being out does matter, and that hurts their team a significant amount. Samaje Perine, Oklahoma legend, is going to be toting the rock for him probably this week. I'm actually picking this game. I'm make no secrets about it. I think the Pack roll on this one. So
that makes my decision even easier. I like the Bengals in this one. I like them +3. They're not one of my picks, but I like the Bengals this game, and I think they're going to move the ball a ton.
+3.
I don't care. You
got an extra half point now. It's +3.5.
Whatever. I'll take 3.5. I think they might win the football game. I think
Green
Green Bay's going to lay an egg. I think Cincinnati. I think Joey Beasley's telling you how good he is, and adding Jamar Chase to him, man, he's been looked good this year.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow, baby.
For all the arguments over the offensive line or Chase, nobody's talking about that anymore.
Jamar Chase looked really good.
Yeah,
somebody was right.
I was on the Chase fan, so actually, weren't you the one saying they should take a lineman?
So Cottrell, Tiny said, Cottrell, what? The Steelers are the worst.
Oh,
what he said is
they're 1-3.
They're worst 3-1 team.
Hey, the Steelers are the worst 1-3 team in the league. So.
Steelers stink. I've called that shit out all year. Steelers stink.
Who are they playing this week? They're probably gonna lose this week.
They play home. They play at home versus Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, depending. The Broncos.
They're losing that game too.
It depends who starts a quarterback.
It's not gonna be Teddy. Teddy's in a concussion protocol.
So then I don't know.
Also,
Drew Lock's gonna throw him a couple picks.
Yeah, but probably throw a couple bombs too.
Ben will throw him a couple back. So
yeah, exactly.
Right. Ben's done, bro. Ben is done.
And Ben's banged up too.
Claypool is going on his rants on Twitter.
He's not even playing.
This is my my theme for the NFL week. I have a theme this week. It's called letdowns. Letdowns is the theme. So Browns at Chargers, a 1.5 point spread. Telling you they think the Browns are a better team than the Chargers. It's in the SoFi.
SoFi.
What do you guys think of this game?
I think this has. I mean, if Buffalo, Kansas City wasn't this week, I mean, this is probably the game of the week. Chargers are good, man. I mean, I like Cleveland. I mean, we've talked about Cleveland a lot, obviously, because of Cottrell. Chargers are a very well-rounded, skilled football team on both sides of the ball. Justin Herbert is every week just playing himself into that elite category.
Agreed.
Has a great offense, 2 good wide receivers. Gene's main man is having a great year so far, Austin Eckler. That offense moves the ball. They protect the ball. Defense gets after the quarterback.
Derwin James is playing his ass off.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about him as well, beginning of the year. He's just got to stay on the field, and if he does, he's an absolute wrecking ball, man. Bosa's playing well. It's a very good football team. And on the other side of that, you're gonna have a team that comes in, the best running team in the league, outside maybe Tennessee. I know OBJ's playing. Landry's still out. I think they're a little shorthand. Not that's gonna matter that much, but I'm very excited to watch that game. I think it's gonna be a very, very good football game.
Joseph Jeffers, I echo the statement, sir.
What do you say?
But we'll talk about it. I don't think the Cleveland defense can stop Herbie.
I don't want to say they can't stop.
I'm going to be fair with you, though. I don't think that I'm telling you right now, I've watched Baker Mayfield throughout his whole career. Not as much as Cottrell has, but I watched Baker Mayfield throughout his whole career. When he has a dud like he did last week, even though they won the game, the next week, the game plan, the team looks better. I really, really, truly believe this is going to be a really high-scoring game. I'll give it away. It's one of my picks. I love the over in this game.
What's the over at?
47.5.
Yeah, man, that's probably low for those two offenses, to be honest.
I think both teams end up in the 30s in this game. The spread tells you everything you want to know about this game. I think this is a letdown game for the Chargers. Chargers are playing on a short week. They have to play Monday Night Football. They beat the Chiefs and the undefeated Raiders back-to-back weeks. The Browns come in, and I really, really, truly believe that this is a game the Browns are going to beat them. 34-31. Browns.
I'll go 31-26 Chargers.
So I don't think it's going to be quite as high scoring. I think I got a lot more. Obviously, both offenses are very solid. I got a little bit more respect for both of their defenses, though. Browns, definitely at the beginning of the year, I was like, "Ooh, this is about to be a rough year with this defense." But past couple weeks, obviously Chicago, they don't have world beaters on their offense. Plus, they're starting Jason Peters at left tackle. But even this past week, I know Dalvin Cook was battling some injuries and everything, but they did a really good job of keeping Minnesota and contained pretty much the whole game, even with those guys like Thielen and Jefferson there. I feel like this is going to be a tight game. I 100% agree. If we didn't have Chiefs-Bills this week, this would 100% be game of the week. I'm going with the Browns winning it 24 with the Chargers scoring 20. I think Baker's going to lead them, not last drive of the game, but probably under 4 minutes. We'll be down 7. I think Baker's going to string together a touchdown drive and close out the game
3.
for us.
Not 7.
Down 3.
Okay.
Score 7. Win the game.
I just really believe Stefanski's going to have that team ready, and I think that this is a letdown week for the Chargers. And I'm telling you guys, when I say that letdown is a real thing, it's a real thing. And I think that the Chargers, just coming off 2 huge division wins, I just think that Browns jump on them. And I think that the Chargers end up creeping back in the game, throwing the ball. And I think it'll be a good game, but I think the Browns end up coming up on top, 34-31. That's one of my picks, too. Last game of the week. This is also one of my picks. I am flashy this week, guys. Flashy. Bills at Chiefs. The hottest team in football that's not named Arizona is Buffalo. They've won their last 2 games, like 100-0?
Yeah, something like that.
Like, I'm serious. They beat, I know it's Houston and all that, but they ran it up on Washington.
It's hard to shut out a team in the NFL.
What do you guys think of this game? Bills and Chiefs. The Chiefs defense couldn't stop me, you, and Cottrell.
No, I mean, listen, they came in here and they beat us last week. That's not something to hang your coat on or anything, but they let the Eagles stay in that game. And then to Gene's point, I mean, that defense has holes. It has issues right now. And you're going to go up against a very, very good offensive team. I think, to borrow Cottrell's statement from earlier about begging to be beat, I think that's kind of where Kansas City is right now. I think they got away with a lot of mistakes and a lot of silly stuff against us because we're just not a good football team right now. It's not going to happen in Buffalo. This is a statement game for Buffalo. I think this is the game Josh Allen needs to get over the hill and really prove that he can win that game on the road, prime time. I'm jealous. 2 of my bosses are going to be there. I think Buffalo pulls this game out in the end. I really do.
Okay. Cottrell, what are your thoughts?
I'm rolling with the Chiefs. I am, word to Deontay's wife in our fantasy league, I'm rolling with my homies. I really feel like the Chiefs are going to roll in that one. It's funny because we haven't similar to what they did in the AFC Championship game. Okay. I think they win double-digit points. But I feel like we haven't seen this dominant Chiefs team at all yet this year. And a lot of the reason that is because their defense has been awful. So I think this is going to be the shootout. I think this is going to be high scoring, but I got the Chiefs winning this one like 38-27.
So
over the Bills.
Perhaps comfy,
if you will.
All right.
I'm picking this game. I'm gonna give that when I pick it.
We'll just do your recap. I mean, we're going into picks anyway, so just do your recap and then do your picks.
No, I'm gonna do picks last.
All right.
I'll do picks last, and my pick for that one will be the longest. So, Shally, start us off with your NFL pick'em segment.
I'm going Dallas -7 at home versus the Giants. Giants really had no business winning that game against New Orleans last week. They're still not a very good football team. I hate that the Cowboys are looking good, but I mean, you got to give credit where it's due. That offense is clicking. Dak's playing well. They got the crazy Ewok running well. We'll see what happens. But -7, it's a one-possession game. I'll take my chances with that. I'll take Dallas -7 at home. Rams coming off a loss going to Seattle. I am taking the Rams -2.5. I think they win that game. I don't think they're going to play as bad as they played last week. I think the defense will be a little bit tighter. And Seattle has this weird stat where like they're the highest scoring team in the first half and the lowest scoring team in the second half in the NFL, which is weird. And they're not as unbeatable at home as they used to be. So I'll take the Rams -2.5. And I am taking Arizona -5.5 for San Francisco. I don't think Jimmy G is going to play. I think Trey Lance is going to start. I think he'll play well. I just think he's just probably going to make a couple mistakes in that game that maybe break their back down the end. Nothing egregious, just typical rookie stuff. I think he'll have a couple big flash plays. He'll look great certain drives. I think he's look awful other. And I think Kyler and Cliff and the boys keep rolling. So I will take Arizona -5.5.
Good show.
#Cliff.
Get it trending.
My picks for the week, I agree with Shally on one of them. I like the Rams -2.5 at Seattle, especially coming off that loss last week against Arizona. I really think this is gonna be their bounce back game, kind of show the division that, hey, we're still here. We had a little blunder last week, but we're gonna get it back rolling. I like the over in the Bears at the Raiders. I understand the Bears don't have a good offensive line, but I don't think the Raiders have that good of a pass rush, so I think Justin Fields is going to have time. And the Bears' offense looked better, a little bit better last week, that they had Bill Lazor calling plays instead of Matt Nagy. Whenever Matt Nagy gives away the play calling sheet, the Bears just look better on offense. So I like the over in that game. And then I also like Green Bay -3 at the Bengals. Without Joe Mixon being there, I really feel like the Packers are going to go into Cincinnati and they're going to get the job done. I don't see any way that they stop Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense, and I think they're going to have a tough time dictating the flow of the game without Joe Mixon, mixing things up for that offense. So rolling with the Pack in that one.
Okay, so I want to comment on your picks for a minute. One, I agree with you 100% on the over in the Bears-Raiders game. I agree with you 100%. It's not one of my picks, but if I had to give a bonus pick, I will add on to yours because I love that. 100% was on it. It was one of the things that was on it. The second comment I'll make on your picks is the Bengals versus Packers game. You said no Joe Mixon, and a lot of people look at Samaje Perine as the replacement. I want you to look out for a kid named Chris Evans. Chris Evans is going to get a lot of touches in the passing game. He will be a Gio Bernard-like. He's explosive. He's quick. Look out for Chris Evans in that game for the Bengals to be their lead back. And for all you fantasy guys, don't jump on Samaje Perine. I think it's a bad pick for you. They're not going to win the battle in the trenches to begin with. I don't think the Bengals' offensive line is that good. So I'm just helping you out here. I think that you're going to need to throw the ball a lot, and I think Joe Burrow is going to dump it off a lot to Chris Evans. As for my picks.
Michigan, Chris Evans.
I was about to say, wasn't he a Michigan running back?
Yep.
As for my picks, I have the over in the Browns-Chargers game, 47. I love that pick. Love it. I think it's at 34-31 is where I think it'll clear the over in the third quarter, and you will be watching that fourth quarter, enjoying your money. Comfy. I said a lot about letdowns, okay? I'm going to give you a couple, a little teaser into this, right? So Rams win their Super Bowl versus Tampa Bay. They play Tampa Bay, the Super Bowl champions. They want to prove that they're here. They win that game. They go and they play Arizona and they get let down, right? I think Arizona won their Super Bowl. I think the San Francisco 49ers, coming off a loss, going into Arizona, I like them plus 5.5. I will take the San Francisco 49ers, whether it's Jimmy G, whether it's Trey Lance. I think Kyle Shanahan and them boys are going to run the football, and I think they're going to win the game. I think they're going to keep it low. I would probably take them outright, but I'll take the 5.5. As for the game of the week, Buffalo Bills Chiefs. Buffalo too high, Kansas City too low. Kansas City can't stop anybody. Kansas City's defense has been atrocious. The Eagles didn't punt versus them last week, with Jalen Hurts being their quarterback. Kansas City's defense looked bad. They lost the game versus the Chargers. They lost the game versus Baltimore Ravens. Buffalo Bills have been rolling, 35-40 win and 48-22 win. I think the Chiefs are the Bills' bugaboo. And I think going into the Arrowhead is not a spot where Josh Allen and them boys like to play. I love the Kansas City Chiefs this week. Love, not like, love. Kansas City on Sunday Night Football is going to dominate that football game. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Buffalo will not stop them. And Josh Allen playing on the road after 2 dynamic wins, I don't think will look good. I think the Chiefs roll in that game. Love them. Second 5-star play of the year for you, brother. Chiefs minus 2.5 over the Buffalo Bills. Those are my picks for the week. No bonuses this week here. No bonuses. Although my bonus would be that. The over in that Bears Raiders. I agree with you 100%. I think the Bears are going to run the football. I don't care who's in the backfield. Montgomery's out 4 weeks. I think Damian Williams is going to run the ball. I think a lot of people are going to run the ball. I don't care. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. That Raiders defense can't stop the run. A guy like Austin Eckler ran for 120 yards versus him. It's not a run-first running back. Joseph Jeffers had good week to take the Titans minus 4.5 coming off a loss. Henry sleepwalks to another 150, 200 yards. I got news for you, Joseph Jeffers. Don't take the Titans this week.
Their top 3 wide receivers are most likely not going to play in that game, so I'm not touching that game.
Don't take Titans this week.
Julio's definitely going to be out. He didn't practice today. They said AJ's on pace to play maybe, but I can't remember the other kid's name. He's got a hamstring issue now too. So
the 2-word name?
I think it's 3, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so
15.
I think there's a chance the 3 of them don't play. So if you saw how they struggled last week without really having a passing game against the Jets, I would not touch that game.
Okay. So that's our pick'em segment for NFL. I feel strongly about my picks this week. I really do. 11-4 on the season. Hopefully this time next week I'll be sitting at 14-4, but at minimum I'll be 13-5. I'll mark that shit down. Baseball playoffs. Guys, someone give me an update.
1-0 still, bottom 4.
Fourth inning.
1-0 Cardinals over the Dodgers. I want to preview these 4 series or 3 series that we know right now. And then I guess we'll get into, I don't know, because if the Dodgers lose the series, it changes the entire landscape. I don't think Dodgers lose to anybody in 7. One game's different, though. Let's start with Brewers-Braves. We know that's going to happen, what that situation's going to be like. Brewers-Braves, Shal, you want to break the series down for me? You want to give me like a little bit of cliff notes?
That's a tricky series. I mean, Brewers definitely have the advantage of pitching, both starting and bullpen. Braves have the better lineup. I think that's a series that probably goes 5. I think Milwaukee probably squeaks enough offense out of that series to win it in 5. I think it's a very good series, though. Atlanta started hitting the ball real well, even after losing Acuna and a couple other guys. They made a couple moves at the deadline. They started pitching better. Their bullpen, which really a lot of people thought was going to be a strength, has not been this year. So again, I think they're two pretty evenly matched teams. The only thing that worries me about Milwaukee is they go through spurts where they just don't hit the ball. But they're between Burns and Woodruff and Peralta. I mean, they're the top of that rotation. Is going to be very tough to beat in a 5-game series. So I would say Milwaukee in 5.
I will update. Swing and a long drive, deep left field. That ball's out of here. Home run, Justin Turner, and the Dodgers tie the game. 1-1. My Harry Callis for you guys. I like the Brewers in 4, maybe 3. I think the Brewers are going to roll over the Braves. I think they're a better pitching team. I think they're a better hitting team. I think they're a better fielding team. I think they're a better coach team. Give me the Brewers, and I like the Brewers quick. I don't think the Brewers sniff a game 5. I think that they'll end it in 4, maybe a gentleman's sweep, but I think it might be done in 3.
Yeah, I also have Brewers in 4. I'm literally going to piggyback everything off what Gene said. I think they're the better baseball team right now, and it's nothing that the Braves are doing where I think that, they could be lightning in a bottle and take the Brewers. I think the Brewers are just the better baseball team, and they're going to go in and finish that series in 4.
Okay. So next series I got to get into, we got to go to the AL because I'm going to wait, do the Giants versus whoever last. Talk about disappointments. I would have enjoyed a Yankees-Rays series more. Red Sox are get blown off the map. They ain't going to win a game. Tampa sweeps.
I'm not going to say that. Chris Sale's going to pitch in there somewhere. So, I mean, they have a chance to win that game. That was kind of strategic pitching of Aldi last night. Worked out for Joey Cora, but Sale's going to pitch, I would say maybe game 1 or game 2. I think they have a chance to win that game, especially because Tampa Bay has a lot of left-handed batters, so that's going to be a tough game for them. I think Tampa Bay is by far the better baseball team. Less holes, great starting pitching, great bullpen, fundamentally sound, very good defensively. It's pretty much a lot of the same guys from last year that, Cash pretty much screwed when they took Blake Snell out of that game. I'll say Tampa in 5. I think Boston squeaks out a game somewhere. 4. Tampa in 4.
Okay. Your thoughts?
I'm going with Tampa in 5. I think Boston they're gonna steal one game that they shouldn't, and then I also think Chris Sale is gonna get them a win. It's funny because Boston literally, they started off hot, cooled down, and then it was like there's no way they're gonna make the playoffs. And then out of nowhere, they just started playing middle of the road and just good enough to squeeze out everybody. Like you talk about being disappointed the Yankees aren't there. I'm disappointed that the Blue Jays aren't there. I feel like they're playing good baseball. That's who I wanted to see in the playoffs. I'm never gonna root for the Yankees and then screw Alex Cora because he cheats and they'll probably be banging trash cans in Boston again anyway. So I got Rays in 5, but
That was literally my issue last night. Like, I hate the Yankees. I love Garrett Cole getting there and getting shelled and going 2 innings. But then, like, they showed Joey Cora at one point. I'm like,
Alex Cora.
Alex Cora, I mean. But I'm like,
You call him Joey Cora.
I'm like,
is he Italian? And I'm sure. Joey.
I'm like,
Just kidding.
I just have to root for this guy, though. Like, I just hated everything about it.
I was rooting for the Yankees. I wanted to see that lineup. I love watching them bat. There's too many good hitters. I think DJ LeMahieu really missing really hurt the Yankees a lot more than.
I don't think it would have mattered last night, but listen.
I think he's the straw that stirs the pot for them, offensively at least.
The Yankees were going to run into the same problem against Tampa Bay they did last year. I mean, they threw Cole last night. I mean, he didn't go long. I mean, so they probably could have brought him back in game 2, but they just on the pitching. It's a huge. I mean, you can throw all the home run hitter guys. Like Anthony Rizzo leading off is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Well, it's because LeMahieu's not playing.
That's fine. I mean, but you have all these guys that swing for Jesus. I mean, so when that happens and you don't hit, like you play the long ball game and play the analytics and all that, and it doesn't happen, you get games like you had last night.
Stanton was crushing the ball too. He's been hitting the cover off the ball.
He has. Yeah. It sucked about Toronto, though, because down the last 3 weeks of the season, they were playing the best out of 3 of those teams. They just had so much ground to make up.
Funny story. If their game is at Yankee Stadium last night, Stanton has 3 home runs. No, 100%.
He sends that one.
He
goes
smoked
over the
2
monster.
balls off top of the monster.
And Yankee
and then he hit one around the pesky pole in right field, make it 6-2.
Yeah, it was at the end.
But all 3 of them were home runs at Yankee Stadium. All 3 of them.
I don't know if pesky pole one is. Pesky pole's like 280, dude. I don't think that's out of Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium's right field's a joke.
It's 315 though.
Yeah. It was 5-6 rows back. I think he gets 3 home runs last night if they're playing Yankee Stadium. He was hitting the cover off the ball. He was tired of smacking the ball off the top of the monster.
It's funny because literally before he hit his home run in the 9th, I was talking to Gene on the phone, and it was like, what, 4th, 5th inning? You're like, Stan's hitting a home run tonight. And then, sure enough, 9th inning, pops one out.
You know, it's funny. The bat I was talking to you in, that was when he smoked it off. We'll be showing it later.
Yeah.
That's exactly the bat. But, yeah, so let's get into I think, is the best series of the 4 of them. White Sox Astros. I think this is going to be the best series. I think this is an awesome series. I'll go first. I have the White Sox in 5. I think the White Sox win the series, and I think that they go on and go to the ALCS, and they might be your representative from the American League. I love the White Sox. I really do. Top to bottom, I just think they're a great baseball team.
Who's home in that series?
The Astros are. The Cheaters are.
The Cheaters.
The Cheetahs.
I also think that the White Sox win it in 5. I think it's going to be a tight series. As much as they hate Houston, can't knock how they've been playing baseball this season. And I know I've been low on them all year. I'm gonna continue to be low on them just because they're cheaters, and I can't condone that. But I do think that the White Sox just have a better team. I trust their pitching staff just a little bit more, and I'm gonna be cheering for the White Sox in this one for sure. I think that they squeeze it out 5th game.
This one's tough for me. Chicago is a great home team. They are very average and pedestrian away from Chicago. Houston, we know how good they are at home. They're cheating. I think Chicago is the better lineup. I'm going Chicago in 5. I do think there's a chance Houston wins the series, though. I think out of all of them, I think
this is the closest series.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that completely.
So you want to do a fun if LA wins, if St. Louis wins? I think LA's going to win tonight.
I think LA's going to pull that game out. I'm not super concerned about it, but yeah, we can preview it both ways. I mean,
if LA wins, I think LA in 3.
Oh,
I'm not doing that.
I will.
If LA wins, LA in 4. If the Cardinals win, Giants in 3.
Giants in 4.
I agree with Cottrell. I think if LA wins, I think it's LA in 4. If St. Louis wins, I do think there's a good shot they get swept. Yeah, Cardinals just don't have the pitching. They're gonna throw Flaherty in one of that game. Wainwright's not gonna be able to come back. So I mean, yeah, I just don't like them matching up. The only thing with the Giants that hurts is they lost Brandon Belt, who was like their biggest power hitter in their lineup. He's done for the year. Well, he's done for 6 weeks, depending how long this all plays out. That broken thumb when he got hit, like with the second to last game of the year. Giants are just a better baseball team. So I would be very shocked if St. Louis did anything.
Other thing too with the Cardinals is that Flaherty is he back to being himself yet?
Right when he came back, he had 2 or 3 like really good starts in a row, like right off the DL. I think he struggled a little bit, and then I think listen, the kid's got great stuff. So he has the ability to go out there any night and just steal a game. He just has that kind of stuff. But again, you're gonna get Cosman, Scandolfini. You're gonna get all those guys at the top. That's a very uphill series for St. Louis, and they don't really hit well enough, really to. They're not gonna win a game 11-8 either. So it's kind of like a square peg in a round hole type situation for St. Louis.
Okay, so that's MLB. I wish we could do a little bit more. We'll go a little bit more next week. The playoffs will be going. I also want to recap the season. Season awards. Hopefully, some of them will some of them be out by next week.
No, they start announcing them around like the World Series.
Okay.
The voting has to be done, I believe, by this week. I believe, if it's not already, because they are regular season awards. They don't like watching people.
Right.
If it was,
so we'll have time to debate the MVP and Cy Young.
Yeah, we can do that.
Perfect.
We can do that. We'll do that in the show when we preview the championship series. That'll be perfect for it.
That works. So we got a huge heavyweight boxing match this week.
Yep.
Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. I don't think this is going to be a fight. All right, so
that means you watch boxing.
What?
I said that means you watch boxing.
I do.
Correct.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, we're probably all going to be on the same page.
It's funny because, like, behind the twinkle in the eye, I can see the bitch in you. Yeah, you know that line? When you hear someone talk, when you watch someone get their ass beat, when you see someone's soul taken out of them, it's very obvious to me. And you listen to Deontay Wilder just talking before this fight, and I can just tell you he's going to get his ass beat. Tyson Fury's going to run through him. I think Tyson Fury beats him bad. I don't think it's that big of a fight. I really don't think it's that big of a fight. And I'll take one more step up with this. Ready? Deontay Wilder hit him with everything he had. Caught him as flush as I ever seen a guy get caught. And Fury got back up. And knowing that you can take your opponent's absolute best shot and get up and beat him, no doubt in my mind Tyson Fury wins this fight. And I think he wins it in dominant fashion. I think Deontay Wilder's doing this fight as a money grab at this point.
I 100% agree. I don't know why. Don't know why it's going on. I got Gypsy King winning 5th round TKO. This is the definition for me, actual definition of puncher's chance. When you got a guy like Deontay Wilder and how powerful he is, he has the one-hitter quitter. He can knock your lights out. I just don't see him doing that against Tyson Fury.
He hit him with it.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't see it happening. Gypsy King's going to dominate in this one, and it's not to say that Deontay Wilder's like a bad fighter or anything like that. Tyson Fury is a boxer. He is an elite boxer. Deontay Wilder is a strong person that goes in there, and he's okay at boxing, but he's very strong and he can knock you out. When you go up against elite boxers who are the same size as you and can take your best punches, you are going to lose. And that's what's going to happen here for the 3rd time. Gypsy King, 5th round TKO for me.
I think it might be earlier than that, I swear to God.
I don't have a ton to add. But you guys hit on all the right points. Deontay Wilder is obviously probably the better athlete and, specimen when you look at him. Tyson Fury boxes like a welterweight, and he's a huge dude. He's a technically sound, very, very smart, very good boxer. Deontay Wilder wants to walk in there and try to hit you as hard as he can. Hope he knocks you out. To Gene's point, he's taken that punch numerous times. He ate it the one time. He's got knocked down twice, but he got up both times. I don't think Deontay Wilder can go in that ring and have any confidence that he's stopping Tyson Fury.
Nope.
None.
He's not going to outbox him?
No, he's definitely not going to outbox him. I agree with you. This had to happen because of contractual obligations and so forth and so on. But This is his.
Oh God, thank you, Joseph. Joseph, what excuse will Wilder come up with after this fight?
Yeah,
bro, that excuse was the worst excuse I ever heard in my life. His ring apparel was too heavy.
I got tired.
Oh God.
I mean, this is Deontay Wilder's probably last big money fight. He should make a decent chunk of change off of it. I guess he could fight Anthony Joshua after this, but
Anthony Joshua just lost. That's what makes this whole thing even crazier.
I know. I'm just pissed now we didn't get a chance to see Fury versus Joshua for all the belts, because now it's kind of like me. I got Tyson Fury. What round did you say?
I said fifth.
I'll just go different. I'll go seventh.
I'll go
seventh.
fourth.
I'll go seventh round TKO.
I'll go fourth.
All right.
I think it's gonna be a dominant performance, bro.
I think it's gonna be ugly. I mean, I think there's a chance this corner throws the talent again too. I think the longer that fight goes, it just favors Fury more and more and more, and I think he's gonna start picking him apart. And Wilder's gonna get hurt. He's gonna get beat up in that fight.
Okay, so you got to be kidding me. And I got an announcement to make for everybody listening. So everybody tune in to the rest of the show. I have an announcement right at the end. Shally, why don't you start us this week?
What?
You want to start?
I start every week.
All right, start us this week.
Dang.
I wanted to try something different.
No. Hey, look, it's the last show of our calendar year for us.
So maybe next year we'll do it different.
Yeah, maybe next year.
I got one of these.
So definitely did.
Why you got to be kidding me this week?
What?
Matt Nagy, head coach of the Bears. It's a combo for me. So he proclaimed that Andy Dalton was going to be their starter after Justin Fields looked good against the Lions. Then, not only did he do that, in the press conference after that, he said he's basically started praising himself for the success that the Bears had against the Lions. And it's funny because against the Browns, they were awful. Matt Nagy called the plays. Against the Lions, they look better. Granted, the Lions are a bad football team. Bill Lazor called plays, and Justin Fields was a lot more successful. So for him to have the audacity to take the credit for Bill Lazor's work is already nuts. And then you want to say Andy Dalton's your starter, and then a few hours later you go on the record and say, yeah, Justin Fields is going to be our official QB1 for the time being and for the future to come. So Matt Nagy, I need you to get it together. You're so dysfunctional. You're not going to have a job at the end of this season. So
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
It was literally 3 hours. 3 hours after he said Andy Dalton's my starter, he announced Justin Fields as the starter.
Yep.
That is terrible. You were talking about organizational dysfunction? Joseph Jeffers just said, someone better have Urban Meyer, damn it.
Well, Joseph Jeffers, I will answer your dreams on this one. I am excited. This is probably the most excited I've ever been to do. You got to be kidding me. Mine this week is Urban Meyer. So if you're not familiar, Urban Meyer, Jacksonville was in Cincinnati, lost the game, decided not to fly back with his team. Instead, drove over to Columbus, where he still resides with his family. And apparently he owns a restaurant, bar, whatever, sports bar, whatever, called Urban Meyer's Pint House. He was then caught on video, absolutely hammered, with a young college girl grinding all over him. He made one statement about that, and there was another video that came out, which his hand, pretty much buried in her crotch. So he had to apologize for a second time on that. Not a good look. Not a good look for a guy that always praises, being a religious, God-fearing guy. So devoted to his wife who came out a couple years ago and victim shamed the wife of Zach Smith, who has mental health issues. She victim shamed her publicly to support her husband, who was then, after that, actually suspended for handling it. He's not a good person. He can be a great coach. He's a great college coach. He's 0 for 4 in the pros. He's not a good human being. This is just another bullet point on a long list of things that he's done. Got caught publicly, had to be covering up assaults, rapes at Florida before he left there. Aaron Hernandez was one of them. We see how well that worked out for everyone. There was issues at Ohio State, obviously, with the Zach Smith allegations. And now this is just another long line of things he has just proven to not be who he says he is. I understand wins matter. I understand probably even more so at the college level, depending on what you believe in. But to get caught make one apology and then have to apologize again when another video comes out because it wasn't what you originally said it was. It's just par for the course for Urban Meyer. So to be able to finally just publicly ridicule him because he's a scumbag, I took pride in it this week. So this week for me, Urban Meyer.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Mike, cue up the video. Legendary fan announcer John Sterling for the Yankees. And this is just too funny. I just wanted to watch it and you can listen to it. It's got sound and everything.
The pitch to Stanton. There it goes. Deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone out of the ballpark. A Stantonian home run. Now, what did I do wrong? What did I see wrong? He's at first base.
So John Sterling, you can stop it now. So John Sterling calls a legendary home run for Giancarlo Stanton out of the ballpark. Like, not even in the stands. Out of the ballpark. That actually went off the Green Monster, and Giancarlo Stanton just got a single. And his response, "What did I do wrong?" is probably one of the funniest things I've heard. John Sterling is a Hall of Fame legendary announcer. He's 83 years old.
Doing it a long time.
But for this week, you got... Sorry, man.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Okay, so next week is our 1-year anniversary show. We will have some giveaways, some Toxic Radio shirts, some Wire2Wire shirts. We're gonna get these our Wire2Wire jerseys. We're gonna give away a bunch of shit next week. We are going to have like a game show, like an award show for our listeners, our podcast viewers also. So if you're listening on the podcast, message me directly. I've talked to a bunch of you guys. Message me directly. We will have awards for all our listeners. Now, we're gonna have an award for like biggest homer or best hot take, worst hot take. We're gonna do that next week to thank you guys for 1 year. I'm super happy 1 year. We've so much growth. You guys seen on the Facebook page. We have over 200,000 through plays. To me, the first year, that's a super success. Every week, we've had over 1,000 views. Most weeks, multi-thousand views. We have over 6,000 downloads through iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. I want to thank you guys for 1 year, man. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have any final thoughts outside that?
No, I mean, I'll just piggyback on it. I mean, I think I thought about it a little bit today, finishing up prep. It hasn't felt like a year. I mean, it's, from, when we first met Mike, at his old apartment studio to here now. I mean, it's kind of a blink of an eye moment. It's a little surreal for us. It's been fun. I mean, it's fun. We've grown. I definitely think we're better now than we were week one.
Clearly.
Especially not in Mike's that first week. It was like 92 degrees in that studio. I do remember that. Everybody's like, why?
Mike likes it hot in his bedroom.
He does. He was like, everybody's like, why do you look so red on camera? I'm like, because I was melting. Listen, I mean, it's been fun. I mean, it's, it's something that like, I don't know, it's just kind of surreal. I mean, we have our own podcast. It's kind of cool.
I look forward to every week. 200,000 views, man.
Yeah. I mean, we've done well. It's continued to grow. We owe a lot of thank yous to a lot of people. We're grateful. I mean, we're grateful people tune into this every week. I promise you that. It's cool to always be at the field and have like people ask me about it or ask questions. My family. I mean, obviously, like Travis and all them. I mean, they watch it religiously. Like it's cool. It's fun. I don't know really what else to say. I'm happy. I'm proud of the product we put out. And it's a pleasure doing it with both you guys. So thank you.
I look at you guys all being all sentimental and whatnot. No, but it's definitely been fun. I feel like it's been so quick, and I feel like the first few weeks, we had to really get to know each other because contrary to what it seems like on the show, I had no clue who Bill was before our first episode. Like literally 20 minutes before the show, like 30 minutes before the show was my first time meeting Bill. But now we're all just here tight and everything, and it's fun arguing with you guys, and I know that most of the times when we argue, it's about exactly how you guys feel. I know that you guys know what you're talking about, although if I disagree with you, I'm going to fight it tooth and nail, but it's definitely been a blast, and I'm excited to see where the next year goes. Hopefully we get some bigger opportunities. Definitely thank you, everybody that's been tuning in. Let's just keep this thing rolling in next year.
You missed the couch though.
Sometimes.
So and I'll leave us with this comment.
Let me go one thing real quick.
Good.
Did you guys see the announcement of Brooks versus Bryson?
Yes.
I cannot wait.
That's
Thanksgiving cannot get
We'll
here.
talk about it.
No, I know. I just wanted to throw it out there because a couple of people messaged me today about it. If we saw it, if we were going to talk about it, obviously we will. I just wanted to get that in before because you're probably going to say something heartfelt. So
No, not the heartfelt. All I'm saying is that I promise you one thing: you will always get real sports talk out of us. None of us are prepping to argue with each other. If we agree with each other, we agree with each other. If we disagree with each other, we disagree with each other. This is not a hot take show. We are literally giving you our true sports opinions.
It's all organic.
As passionate and it's organic as it can be. So with that, this is show 52, Wire to Wire, 1 year's worth of shows, signing out.